Hey guys, today I wanted to make a quick video on a very important topic, Linux YouTubers. I wanted to discuss some of the other Linux YouTubers out there, some of my favorite Linux YouTube channels. I also want to give you guys an opportunity in the comments below to share your favorite Linux YouTube channels. I would love to hear about channels that I've never heard about, things I could check out. I'm going to share some of my favorite channels, maybe channels that you guys have not heard about. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my YouTube channel here. This is the DistroTube YouTube channel page. And on my page here, if you click on the Channels tab, you will see all of the YouTube channels I am currently subscribed to. They are all Linux related channels. That's all I subscribe to on this particular YouTube user, the DistroTube user. And I have about 30 or so channels that I'm currently subscribed to. So you guys interested in, some of the channels that I like to check out my channel page here, the DistroTube channel page, and click the Channels tab, and you'll see everybody I'm subscribed to. Some of these channels I've been following for years. Some of them I've recently subscribed to. Some of them, I've watched hundreds of videos from these guys. Some of them I've just watched one or two videos. I'm going to briefly discuss some of my favorite channels out of this group. One of the biggest channels on YouTube related to Linux is Brian Lunduke's channel. Brian Lunduke is probably one of the most famous, most recognizable Linux podcasters slash YouTubers slash writers. He used to write for a couple of different online Linux magazines. Brian Lunduke was one of the original founders of Jupiter Broadcasting and the Linux Action Show. And matter of fact, that's where I first started following Brian Lunduke, because I started watching the old Linux Action Show really from the very beginning. It was a fantastic program. It's since been canceled. They no longer do the Linux Action Show on Jupiter Broadcasting. They discontinued it after a 9 or 10 year run. But Brian Lunduke, he's a pretty interesting guy, very funny guy. He does some distro reviews. He does some gaming stuff, focuses a lot on network, focuses a lot on hardware. Here lately on his YouTube channel, he talks a lot more about 3D printing. One of his sponsors of his channel is the Lulzbot 3D printer, so he does talk about 3D printing some for those interested in that. He's kind of an old school nerd. He likes retro programs, retro apps, retro gaming. But anyway, he's a funny guy. He does a lot of live presentations too. Check out some of his live presentations of stuff he does at like Linux conferences. So pretty cool guy. If you're not subscribed to Brian Lunduke's channel, I definitely recommend that everyone interested in Linux and open source check out Brian Lunduke. And since I mentioned Jupiter Broadcasting when I was mentioning Brian Lunduke is no longer associated with Jupiter Broadcasting. Jupiter Broadcasting is run by a guy named Chris Fisher, and Jupiter Broadcasting is it's a podcasting network, and all the shows on that particular network are focused on not only Linux but BSD, tech-related news. They also do some like non-computer related stuff too, and they do like some funnier shows that have absolutely nothing to do with computing at all. Jupiter Broadcasting was founded by Chris Fisher and Brian Lunduke back in 2008. Back then, it was mainly the place where you went to watch the Linux Action Show. That was pretty much the only show they did. I think they did maybe one other show at the time, so they only had a couple of shows in the beginning. Nowadays, here in early 2018, you go to the Jupiter Broadcasting website, they're producing like 9 or 10 shows now, different programs. They have always got a live show going, it seems. So it has become a big deal, the Jupiter Broadcasting Network. So you guys, most of you, if you're familiar with Linux at all, you've probably seen some of like the Linux Unplugged shows, the Linux Action News shows. you coder guys, you programmers, check out Coder Radio. If you're interested in BSD, they do a show called BSD Now. Anyway, Jupiter Broadcasting, pretty cool. Another interesting fellow that you guys may want to check out is Chris Ware. His channel is Chris Ware Digital. He does a lot of Linux and open source reviews. He does a lot of long-winded rants. He does tutorials. He does interviews. He interviews a lot of people on his channel, people in the open source community. Probably his most notable feature, once you start watching some of his videos, is his rambling, his long-windedness, his rants. You can tell there's nothing scripted. He just turns on a camera and he just starts talking, and a half hour later sometimes he's still talking, and he's just going all over the place. That's kind of his style. A lot of people kind of like that style. May not be for everybody, but I find a lot of his videos interesting, so check out Chris Ware. I'm sure most of you have heard of quidsup. Quidsup is most notable for his distro reviews. He does a lot of tutorials. He also does a lot of Linux news. For example, here recently he's been focusing a lot on the Meltdown Inspector vulnerabilities and what's going on with the Intel chips. Quid is also interesting in that he's a developer, so he also focuses pretty heavily on like security. He talks a lot about things like SQL, injections, DDoS attacks, and such. So he comes at his videos from a little bit different perspective than, say, somebody like me. So definitely a highly recommended Linux YouTuber, quidsup. And another of one of the most popular Linux YouTubers, Joe Collins. Joe Collins is probably responsible for more people switching from Windows to Linux than any other YouTuber. He really focuses on the new Linux user. That's kind of his niche. He does a lot of distro reviews. He's very heavy on Linux tutorials. He focuses a lot on things like backup solutions. He has a ton of videos on how to back up your Linux system. I've watched several videos of his on SSH. Really good tutorials. And really good teacher, video teacher, really. That's really his calling in life. And again, he focuses a lot on bringing people from Windows to Linux. He really focuses on the new Linux user. He focuses heavily on the Linux Mint distro. So Linux Mint users are going to love that. People that are not that interested in Linux Mint, such as myself, I really don't follow Linux Mint much. I've never really used Linux Mint. So I usually just ignore a lot of his Linux Mint focused stuff. But he's got so many great Linux tutorials out there. Everyone really should subscribe to Joe's channel. Another popular channel out there is the Got Bletu or Got Bletu channel here. This guy, really knows his stuff. Some of the best Linux tutorials out there. A very large library of Linux tutorials. The guy puts out, a lot of content, a lot of quality content. One caveat though with this particular channel: foul language. The guy curses a lot in his videos, kind of excessively. So it is not appropriate for the workplace. It's not going to be appropriate to view around children because the guy is going to be dropping F-bombs constantly. So that's one thing you have to consider with this channel. Switch to Linux is a channel I've been watching a lot of lately. I just came across it really a couple months ago is really when I started watching this particular fellow. I like his video quality. I mean, his camera work and mic work, and it's real professional. He's got good distro reviews, good tutorials. He loves to do like rant and opinion pieces, which I kind of dig. I wish more people did that kind of stuff regarding Linux and open source. Guy is really knowledgeable about Linux. One thing about him that may not be for everybody, his voice is a little on the whiny kind of side, kind of high pitched. You may not want to listen to his voice for like hours on end. That's not something, that this particular fellow can help. It's just, the pitch, the tenor of his voice, may not be for everyone. The other thing is he loves to throw his cat in every video. No matter what video he's making, he has a really fat cat, a house cat, that he always finds and puts in his lap, puts right in front of the camera. And I'm guessing he's using his cat maybe to think that's going to get him more YouTube views. But we really need more Linux and less cat in your videos. But other than that, Switch to Linux is a fantastic channel. Linux and other stuff. Another one that I came across for the first time 2 or 3 months back. This particular guy focuses heavily on reviews. He does a lot of distro reviews. He does some tutorials, but he reviews a lot of distros, and he's very active. One of the most active YouTubers I've seen. It's not unusual for him to release 2, 3, 4 videos in a day sometimes. Also, his distro reviews, he's not one of those, like a lot of times, I'm a hit and run kind of guy. I review one distro today, and I'm moving on to the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. He will come back to some of his reviews. Like he'll check out, I don't know, Ubuntu, for example. I'm just throwing that out there. He'll review it today, and tomorrow he may make another video about it on things he's played around with, messed in. I mean, he really lives in his reviews. I mean, so definitely a guy you guys should check out if you're interested in distro reviews in particular, Linux and other stuff. Great channel. And just quickly looking through my list of YouTube channels here, I'm just going to briefly mention Adrian Linux Tricks here is focused heavily on Calculate Linux. I believe most of his videos are in French though, so you may have to do some subtitles or some translation, but a fantastic video channel. Eric Dubois is another one I'm subscribed to here. Eric Dubois, that channel is primarily focused on ArchMerge. This is the creator of the ArchMerge Linux distro, and he has, a couple of hundred video tutorials on ArchMerge. That is primarily what that channel is about. So probably the best YouTube channel I've seen that is like really focused and dedicated to a single Linux distro. So Eric Dubois' YouTube channel, definitely one you guys should check out, especially if you're interested at all in ArchMerge. Some of my other, favorites, me personally, that when they release a video I check out, I always check out Sneaky Linux's stuff. Matt Hartley, he's not that active, but I really like Matt Hartley's videos. Don't Call Me Lenny, he's great. I will mention in my list of YouTube channels here, I don't really list any channels that are dormant or dead. I mean, there's YouTube channels come and go, and there's a ton of Linux YouTube channels that I've watched in the past that the guys have kind of just dropped out of existence. They're gone. Some of them passed away. Some of them just quit using Linux or just got tired of keeping up with their YouTube channels. I don't list any like dead YouTube channels in my list here. I also don't list any YouTube channels that don't feature an actual live human doing the review, doing the talking, doing the news, whatever. So I don't do any channels with computerized e-speakers, e-readers. I also don't do channels that are nothing but text set to music. I actually need to hear a human being speak on the video. Otherwise, me personally, I'm not interested. But anyway, and this was just kind of an impromptu video I just thought about making, sharing some of the YouTubers that I check out. I wanted to share with you this channels tab here where I share everybody I'm subscribed to. I would also like your guys' your input on YouTubers you follow, primarily Linux and open source YouTubers, especially ones I've never heard of. I would love to check out some of the other YouTubers out there. You guys that are not familiar with some of the ones I'm already checking out, definitely check out these guys. I subscribe to these guys for a reason. These guys, all the ones I'm subscribed to here, these guys deserve more subscribers. They're that good, and I hope you guys support them. Peace, guys.